Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. In today's video, we'll be looking at a certain Season 2 episode that the majority of the fanbase says is the absolute worst episode of all time, but I'm here to say it's not the worst, and that it's the most overrated episode. Today's episode is titled, No Such Luck. First, we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with Lincoln explaining how his schedule is filled with his sister's activities and just wants to have a little personal time. However, he gets dragged to Lynn's softball game for the first time all season. Surprisingly, her team loses for the first time of the season, and Lynn believes Lincoln being there was the cause of this bad luck. She tells Lenny not to invite Lincoln to her fashion show, thinking he will cause something to go wrong like what happened at her softball game. Lenny passes the same warning on to Lana when it comes time for her activity, and Lincoln gets the idea of saying he's bad luck to everyone else in his family as a way of getting out of going to his sister's activities. He begins to enjoy his alone time, but he starts to regret it when he's not allowed to go to the movies with his family. Eventually, he's locked out of his own room, forced to sleep outside, and can't even come inside to eat while everyone else plans a day for the beach without him. He tries to explain he faked being bad luck just to get out of going to everyone's activities, but it doesn't work since Lynn explains her softball team managed to make it to the playoffs when he stopped showing up. Lincoln's final plan to put things right is to show up at Lynn's game dressed up as the team's mascot, and the Squirrels win the big game. Lincoln reveals he was there the whole time, and even though the family apologized for how they treated him, they no longer see him as bad luck, but only when he's in the squirrel suit. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. Let me just start off by saying I don't disagree with the fans when they say this is a terrible episode. Because it is. It's kind of unfortunate too, because when I first watched this episode when it first aired, I started thinking the show had finally reached its peak, and No Such Luck was the beginning of the end for a show that was only on the air for about a year. Thankfully, a majority of the remaining episodes from Season 2 renewed my faith in the series, and it hasn't sunk to this low of a bar ever since. Minus that one episode from Season 3. Anyway, this episode is loaded with so many issues that it's not hard to see why the fans hate it with a passion. Every character is the villain in their own way, and I do mean everyone. The only justified villain in this episode is Lynn. She makes a good point for about 80% of the episode. Lincoln never showed up to any of her games, and she was on a winning streak, and the one time he shows up, her team loses, and then she starts winning again the moment he's banned from attending future games. It does seem stupid, and it is, but given her sports-driven character and belief in superstitions and good luck rituals, you can't really blame her in the sense that perhaps an act of mere coincidence can be interpreted as bad luck. No Cossack dance is going to fix that. However, that still doesn't lend enough credibility to Lenny disinviting her brother to her fashion show, same for Lana barring Lincoln from her gator wrestling match. If they had brought Lincoln along to some of the other activities, and some stroke of bad luck were to happen while he was there, at least Lincoln could take advantage of the idea of saying he's bad luck without it seeming his fault. It could have been like the episode Raw Deal, where Lucy's fortune-telling cards predict the future, and Lincoln's day does end in tragedy. Even a smart kid like Lisa started believing Lucy's cards were accurate when her fortune came true, and after seeing her other siblings' fortunes come true based on happenstance. But here she just instantly assumed her brother was no good, just like everyone else. Although I will talk about the root to their overly cautious behavior in just a moment. It's one thing if the kids want to jump to the wrong conclusions, but it's an entirely different case when the parents start thinking the worst of the worst. The fact they felt comfortable locking their own son out of his bedroom, forcing him to sleep and eat outside, and not even take the chance of letting him back inside is just disgusting. There was no common sense to be found from these people, and they took their fears way too far, possibly crossing into the realm of child abuse. That's the major reason why people despise this episode. However, no one ever seems to talk about the root of the problem. Who made these people think and act the way they did? Lincoln! Yes, Lincoln is the source of his own problems in this episode and therefore a villain in his own right. Make no mistake, I'm not letting the rest of the family off the hook. Not inviting him to other family activities is one thing, but selling off his bedroom furniture and keeping him outside is crossing the line, and there's no defending that. But on the other hand, Lincoln knew exactly what he was doing. He was going around to everyone and insisting he was going to cause problems for them. Again, no common sense from characters you would think would be more logical, like the parents and Lisa. But this kid must have done some pretty hardcore convincing to whip his entire family into a paranoid state of mind to effectively banish him from their social lives. He even says, quote, "I guess I brought this on myself." Look, I understand why he did what he did. He wanted some personal time for himself. Who doesn't? Living with that many people and going to all those activities, anyone would want to open up their schedules for some one-on-one time with themselves. But like Lori said, this family supports each other. She has a point, although I'm not sure how Lincoln managed to avoid going to all of Lynn's previous games. Regardless, you do feel bad for him because he just wanted to stay home and enjoy a little peace and quiet. But rather than talk to his family about how he was feeling, he planted doubt in everyone's heads about the kind of bad luck he could bring. He's a victim of circumstance at the beginning, knowingly screws with the heads of his family for his initial goal of alone time, and then becomes a victim of his own crimes. I would have been willing to forgive some parts of the episode after Lynn won the playoff game, but that final scene at the beach with the squirrel suit and the reasoning for him being in it, just no. Overall, this episode is bad from start to finish, but it is very overrated in my opinion. I get it, it's terrible, but far too often I hear fans say it's the worst possible thing that ever aired on TV. No. I can name a few other things on TV that would make this episode look respectable, but that's not the point here. While fans are very vocal about the family being horrible, no one ever talks about Lincoln being the enabler of their actions and how he caused his own problems. Again, his family is more wrong in their actions and Lincoln does become the victim, but he let his mind games go on for as long as he wanted, and he became the victim through his own actions by not thinking his plan all the way through. He could have stopped it at any time before it reached extreme levels of what you could technically call child abuse, but his desire for alone time was just too much. He paid the price, but it's even more messed up how his family didn't truly learn their lesson at the end, given what happened on the beach. With that said, I give No Such Luck a 2 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of No Such Luck. There are only so many episodes in the series that I have given an F rating to, and this episode right here deserves that F. And I have yet to find one person who says it doesn't. So what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.